Hello, guys! Welcome back to English Learning Podcast. If you're new here, let me tell you something special. On this channel, you don't just improve your English, you also learn powerful ideas from some of the world's most influential books. So today, you will learn two things at the same time. First, you will improve your English listening skills through simple and clear English. And second, you will discover the life-changing ideas from the famous book Deep Work by Cal Newport. So even if you are practicing English, you are also learning how successful people focus, learn faster, and achieve extraordinary results. And trust me, the ideas in this book can completely change the way you study, work, and even learn English. Now, let me ask you a question. Have you ever sat down to study English for 1 hour? But after checking your phone, watching a few videos, replying to some messages, that 1 hour suddenly disappeared? And at the end of the day, you feel busy, but you don't feel productive? If your answer is yes, then this book was written for you. Because according to Cal Newport, the biggest problem in today's world is not lack of intelligence, it is lack of focus. And the people who learn how to focus deeply will have a huge advantage over everyone else. So today, let's discover how deep work can help you become more productive, more focused, and more successful. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Superpower of the 21st Century. The first big idea of this book is very simple. Deep work is becoming rare, but at the same time, it is becoming more valuable than ever. Let's understand what this means. Today, we live in a world full of distractions. Notifications, messages, emails, short videos, social media feeds. Every few minutes, something tries to steal our attention. And because of this, many people spend their entire day switching from one thing to another. They work for 5 minutes, check their phone, work again, open Facebook, work again, watch a video. And then they wonder why they are not making progress. Now, here's the problem. Your brain needs time to focus deeply. It needs time to solve difficult problems. But every interruption breaks that focus. Imagine you are trying to fill a bucket with water. Every time someone punches a hole in the bucket, the water starts leaking out. That's exactly what distractions do to your attention. You try to focus. A notification arrives. You lose concentration. You start again. Another interruption arrives. And the cycle continues. As a result, you stay busy all day, but you accomplish very little. Now, let's look at a real-life example. Imagine two students learning English. Student A studies for 3 hours every day. But during those 3 hours, he checks social media every few minutes. He replies to messages, he watches random videos, and his attention constantly jumps from one thing to another. Student B studies for only 1 hour. But during that 1 hour, his phone is turned off. No social media, no notifications, no distractions. Just complete focus. After 6 months, who do you think will improve faster? Most people assume student A, but in reality, student B often wins, because focused work produces better results than distracted work. And this is exactly what Cal Newport calls deep work. Deep work means focusing on one important task without distraction. It means giving your full attention to one thing. Not half of your attention, not 20% of your attention, your full attention. Now, let me say that again because this idea is extremely important. Deep work means focusing on one important task without distraction. This is the skill that separates ordinary performers from extraordinary performers. Think about great writers, scientists, programmers, entrepreneurs, researchers. Most of them achieve great results because they spend long periods of time focusing deeply. They protect their attention. They protect their concentration. And because of that, they produce exceptional work. Now here's something interesting. Cal Newport says that deep work is like a superpower in today's economy. Why? Because very few people can do it. Most people are distracted all day. Most people cannot focus for even 10 minutes without checking their phones. So if you learn this skill, you immediately gain an advantage. You can learn faster, work faster, and improve faster, including your English. Now, ask yourself honestly, how often do you study English without touching your phone? How often do you give your complete attention to listening practice? How often do you focus deeply? If the answer is not often, don't worry. Most people have the same problem. And that's exactly why this book is so valuable. Because throughout this book, Cal Newport teaches us how to train our brains for deep focus. And in the next chapter, we will discover something shocking. Why being busy all the time does not mean you are productive. And why many people confuse activity with achievement. Let's find out.
Chapter 2. Busy does not mean productive. Let me ask you a simple question. Have you ever ended a day feeling exhausted, but when you looked back, you realized you didn't actually accomplish anything important? Many people experience this every day. They answer emails, check messages, attend meetings, scroll through social media, jump from one task to another, and by evening, they feel extremely busy. But being busy and being productive are not the same thing. Cal Newport explains that modern society has created a dangerous illusion. The illusion is this: if I'm busy, I must be productive. But that's not always true. Imagine a man running on a treadmill. He is moving constantly. He is sweating. He is working hard. But is he actually going anywhere? No. He is moving, but he is not progressing. Many people spend their entire lives like that. Constant movement, very little progress. Now, let's make this practical. Imagine two English learners. The first learner spends 4 hours every day with English. He watches random videos, changes between apps, reads a few pages, stops, starts again, checks Facebook, returns to studying, then gets distracted once more. At the end of the week, he feels proud because he spent many hours studying. But his improvement is small. Now, look at the second learner. She studies for only 90 minutes. But during those 90 minutes, she listens carefully. She takes notes. She practices speaking. She reviews vocabulary. Her attention stays focused. After a few months, her English improves much faster. Why? Because quality beats quantity. Deep focus beats shallow effort. And this brings us to one of the most important concepts in the entire book: shallow work. Chapter 3. What is shallow work? Deep work and shallow work are completely different. Deep work creates value. Shallow work creates the feeling of work. Let me explain. Shallow work includes activities that don't require much thinking. Tasks that are easy. Tasks that can be done while distracted. Tasks that don't improve your skills significantly. For example, checking emails, scrolling social media, replying to random messages, constantly switching tabs, refreshing notifications. Most people spend a huge portion of their day doing these activities. And because these tasks feel productive, they continue doing them. But here's the problem. At the end of the day, they have very little to show for all their effort. Now, let's imagine a farmer. Instead of planting seeds, watering crops, and growing food, he spends the entire day organizing his tools, cleaning his shovel, moving equipment from one place to another. Does he look busy? Absolutely. But is he producing food? No. And that's exactly what shallow work does. It keeps you occupied, but it doesn't move you forward. Now, think about your own life. When you study English, what activities actually improve your English? Listening carefully, speaking regularly, reading challenging material, learning vocabulary, practicing pronunciation. These are deep work activities. Now, think about activities that only feel productive. Searching for the perfect app, changing study plans every week, watching endless motivational videos without practicing, organizing notes for hours. These activities often become shallow work, and many learners spend more time preparing to learn than actually learning. Let me say that again.
Many people spend more time preparing to learn than actually learning. That's a powerful trap, and most people never notice it. A powerful story. Now let me tell you a story. Imagine two friends, David and Michael. Both want to become software developers. Both have the same intelligence. Both have access to the same resources. David spends his days constantly connected. His phone is always nearby. Notifications never stop. Every few minutes, something steals his attention. Michael chooses a different approach. Every morning, he blocks 2 hours. Phone off, internet off, no distractions. Only focused learning. At first, the difference seems small. 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, nothing dramatic happens. But after 1 year, the gap becomes enormous. Michael has built real skills. He understands difficult concepts. He can solve complex problems. David is still busy, but Michael is improving. This is how deep work changes lives. Not overnight, but gradually. Day after day, month after month, year after year. Small, focused sessions create extraordinary results. The attention economy. Now let's understand something even more important. Your attention has become valuable, very valuable. Today, thousands of companies compete for your attention. Social media platforms, streaming platforms, news websites, mobile games, advertisements. Everyone wants one thing: your attention.
Because attention generates money. The longer they keep you scrolling, the more money they make. This means that every day you are fighting a battle for your focus, a battle for your attention. And if you don't protect it, someone else will take it. That's why deep work is no longer just a productivity skill. It is a survival skill. The people who control their attention will control their future. The people who lose control of their attention will struggle to achieve meaningful goals. This is true for business, this is true for studying, and it is absolutely true for learning English.
Chapter 4. Focus is not a talent, it is a skill. Many people believe that highly successful people are naturally focused. They think great writers, scientists, entrepreneurs, and students were simply born with extraordinary concentration. But Cal Newport disagrees. He says focus is not a talent. Focus is a skill. And like every skill, it becomes stronger through training. Let's think about the gym. The first time someone lifts weights, they struggle. Their muscles get tired quickly. Everything feels difficult. But after weeks and months of training, those muscles become stronger. Focus works exactly the same way. Your brain is like a muscle. Every time you concentrate deeply, you strengthen it. Every time you constantly switch between distractions, you weaken it. Now imagine someone checking their phone every 3 minutes, day after day, year after year. What are they training their brain to do?
They're training their brain to become distracted. They're teaching their mind that boredom should be avoided immediately, that every quiet moment must be filled with stimulation. And over time, concentration becomes harder and harder. This is one of the biggest problems of the modern world.
people are losing the ability to sit quietly and focus on one thing. Not because they are lazy, not because they are unintelligent, but because they have trained their brains to crave constant stimulation. Now, let me ask you something. When was the last time you sat alone for 30 minutes without touching your phone, without checking notifications, without opening social media? For many people, that's surprisingly difficult.
And that's exactly why deep work is becoming a superpower. Chapter 5. Embrace boredom. This next idea may sound strange. Cal Newport says that if you want to focus better, you must learn how to be bored. At first, this sounds unusual. Most people try to eliminate boredom from their lives. The moment they stand in a line, they check their phone. The moment they sit on a bus, they open social media. The moment they feel bored, they search for entertainment. But here's the problem. Every time you immediately escape boredom, you teach your brain something. You teach it that boredom is unacceptable. You teach it that stimulation must always be available. And eventually, your brain loses the ability to stay focused on difficult tasks.
Because difficult tasks are often boring at first. Learning English can feel boring. Reading a book can feel boring. Studying vocabulary can feel boring. Practicing pronunciation can feel boring. But successful people understand something important. On the other side of boredom, there is growth. There is improvement. There is mastery.
Let me give you an example. Imagine two students. Both want to improve their English. The first student quits whenever studying becomes uncomfortable. The second student continues, even when it's difficult, even when it's repetitive, even when it's boring. After 1 year, who becomes fluent? The answer is obvious. The student who learned to stay focused during uncomfortable moments. That is why boredom is not your enemy. Sometimes, boredom is the doorway to excellence.
Let me tell you a story. A young musician wanted to become one of the best piano players in the world. Every day, he practiced the same pieces repeatedly. The same scales, the same exercises, the same movements. His friends thought it looked boring. His family wondered why he spent so many hours doing the same thing. But he understood something they didn't. Greatness is often hidden inside repetition. Years later, he became a world-class performer. People admired his talent, but what they called talent was actually thousands of hours of focused practice. The same principle applies to English. The same principle applies to business. The same principle applies to almost every valuable skill.
Deep focus creates mastery. Distraction destroys it. Chapter 6. The 4 Deep Work Philosophies. Now Cal Newport introduces 4 different ways people practice deep work, and understanding these methods can help you find your own style. The first is called the monastic philosophy. This approach is extreme. People completely eliminate distractions. They isolate themselves from the outside world. Writers, researchers, and scientists sometimes use this method. They disappear for weeks or months to focus entirely on one goal. Most people can't live this way, but it teaches us an important lesson. Great work requires protection from distraction. The second approach is called the bimodal philosophy. In this method, people divide their lives into 2 parts. One part is dedicated to deep focus. The other part is dedicated to everything else. For example, a person might spend 3 days each week doing deep work and the remaining days handling normal responsibilities.
The third approach is called the rhythmic philosophy. This is often the best choice for most people. Why? Because it turns deep work into a habit. Maybe you work deeply every morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m.
or every evening from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. The specific time doesn't matter. Consistency matters. When deep work becomes a routine, your brain begins to expect it, and focus becomes easier. Finally, there is the journalistic philosophy. This method involves doing deep work whenever free time appears. It's flexible, but difficult. Only highly experienced people can usually use this approach effectively. For most people, the rhythmic philosophy works best because habits are easier than willpower. Let me say that again. Habits are easier than willpower. When something becomes automatic, you no longer need to fight yourself every day.
Now, let's connect these ideas directly to English learning. Imagine you decide to practice English every morning for 1 hour. Same place, same time, same routine. No phone, no distractions, just listening, speaking, reading, and vocabulary review. At first, it feels difficult. After a few days, it becomes easier. After a few weeks, it becomes normal. After a few months, it becomes part of your identity. You are no longer someone trying to learn English. You become an English learner. And that small shift changes everything. Because identity creates consistency, and consistency creates results.
Chapter 7. The Social Media Trap. Let me ask you a simple question. How many times do you check your phone every day? 10 times? 20 times? 50 times? For many people, the answer is much higher. Sometimes we open social media without even realizing it. We check Instagram, then Facebook, then YouTube, then TikTok, and before we know it, 30 minutes have disappeared. Now, here's something interesting. Most people believe social media is free, but Cal Newport says that's not true. You are paying for it. Not with money, but with something even more valuable. Your attention, your focus, your time, and your life. Think about it. Every hour you spend scrolling is an hour you cannot spend learning. Every hour you spend consuming is an hour you cannot spend creating. Every hour you spend distracted is an hour you cannot spend improving yourself. Now, let me be clear. Cal Newport is not saying all technology is bad. He's not saying you should throw away your phone. That's not the point. The real question is this. Does this tool help you achieve your goals, or does it simply consume your attention? That's the question successful people ask themselves.
The craftsman approach. Most people ask, what can this technology do for me? But Cal Newport suggests a better question. Does this technology support the things that matter most in my life? That small change creates a huge difference. Imagine you are building a house. Would you buy every tool you see? Of course not. You would choose only the tools that help you build the house. Successful people treat technology the same way. They don't use every app. They don't join every platform. They carefully select tools that support their goals. This is called the craftsman approach. A craftsman focuses on quality. A craftsman focuses on results. A craftsman doesn't get distracted by every shiny object. And if you want to master deep work, you must think like a craftsman.
A story about attention. Now, let me tell you a story. Imagine two young professionals, Emma and Sarah. Both are talented, both are ambitious, both want successful careers. Emma starts every morning checking social media. She checks notifications, replies to messages, reads random posts, and her attention becomes scattered before her day even begins. Sarah follows a different routine. For the first 2 hours of every morning, no phone, no social media, no unnecessary notifications, only focused work. At first, the difference seems small, but after months, Sarah completes projects faster, learns skills faster,
builds confidence faster, and eventually opportunities begin to appear. Not because she is smarter, but because she protects her attention. That is the power of deep work. Small daily choices create massive long-term results.
Chapter 8, Schedule Every Minute. Now we're going to discuss one of the most surprising ideas in the entire book. Cal Newport recommends scheduling your day. Not just important meetings, not just work, but your entire day. At first, this sounds extreme. Many people think, that sounds too rigid. That sounds too difficult. But here's the reason. When you don't plan your time, other people plan it for you. Notifications plan it. Social media plans it. Random distractions plan it. And suddenly, your day disappears. Planning creates awareness. Awareness creates control. And control creates results. Now, this doesn't mean your schedule must be perfect. Things change.
Unexpected situations happen. That's normal. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is intention. You decide how your time will be used, instead of letting the world decide for you. Imagine your time is money. Would you throw $100 bills into the street? Of course not. Yet many people waste hours every day without thinking about it. Deep work teaches us to value time, because time is life. Once a day is gone, you can never get it back. How to apply deep work to English learning. Now let's connect everything we've learned to English. Because many of you are here not only to learn life lessons, but also to improve your English. Imagine following this simple system. Every day, 30 minutes of listening, 20 minutes of reading, 20 minutes of speaking, 20 minutes of vocabulary review. No phone, no social media, no distractions. Only focused practice.
Now, imagine doing this consistently for 1 year. Can you imagine how much your English would improve? Most people fail because they underestimate consistency. They search for shortcuts. They search for secrets. But deep work teaches us a different lesson. Extraordinary results come from ordinary actions repeated consistently. That's how languages are learned. That's how businesses are built. That's how successful lives are created. A final story. Before we end, let me leave you with one final thought. Imagine two people standing at the same starting line. Neither is smarter. Neither is more talented. Neither has special advantages. The only difference is this. One learns to focus. The other remains distracted. 5 years later, the difference between them becomes enormous. One has developed valuable skills, built confidence, achieved important goals. The other is still wondering why progress never came. The difference wasn't intelligence. The difference wasn't luck. The difference was focus. And that's the central message of deep work. Your attention shapes your future. Final message. My friend, the world has never been more distracted. But it has also never offered more opportunities. The people who learn to focus deeply will learn faster, grow faster, and achieve more than they ever imagined. So don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Start today. Protect your attention. Protect your time. Protect your future. Because every great achievement begins with one focused hour. And who knows? The life you've always wanted may be waiting on the other side of deep work. Thank you for listening. And thank you for spending your valuable time with me. If you enjoyed this book summary and practiced your English along the way, make sure to continue learning every day. Remember, a little progress every day creates extraordinary results over time. Keep learning.
keep improving. And most importantly, keep doing deep work.